Yeah, set intentions. I love that. A lot of my mentors are really big on that. Every meeting, every day, every new thing, every time you shift from doing one thing to another, to just set some intentions and just set a game plan.
Hmm.
Versus what a lot of us do is we just kind of float along and we feel how we feel and we think how we think and we do what we do. And then at the end of the day, you're like, what did I even do today? So set those intentions. Be intentional, which
Hmm.
also is very, very applicable to acting. If you're general and wishy-washy as an actor, then nobody knows what you want or what you're attempting to get in your scene. What are you fighting for? Versus actors who are super specific, super intentional. They know their relationship. They know what they're fighting for.
Hmm.
All their movements are very intentional and specific as well. So
And especially when you're on set and you're not filming in consecutive order, you have to be very clear about your intentions going into the scenes so that because maybe you'll shoot part A at 4 days from now, and then you'll shoot part B 6 days from now, and you're not going to be in the same emotional place that you were for scene A. But you need to find that through line so that even if 6 days have passed and you're in a different place emotionally, mentally, you can still pick it up right where you left off for scene B, so that there is a through line, because there's a through line for the entire movie, right? And you have to make sure that you are there and you know what you're doing, so that you don't have those wishy-washy feelings and you're like, oh well, because then it's just a collection of good scenes and it's not a great overall arc, right?
right. Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of people don't realize that. It's in the general public that it's very rare that a TV show or movie is filmed in chronological order as you
Hmm.
see it. Often sometimes you're shooting the very end scene, like the climax that day, and that could be, or like the first day you're shooting the end of the movie first thing, which is a lot of pressure for people.
Hmm.
But if you don't know that going into it and you haven't decided that, then you could potentially blow the whole movie, because if you weren't on your game day one for that big climactic scene, then you shoot everything else, and then you're like, oh well, we never really got to the place that it needed to be in the end. Versus knowing exactly where you need to be and what levels you need to hit. So yeah, that's great. Be more intentional
Yes.
is the lesson for today.
Hmm.
And we wanted to speak on intentions here moving forward. This is a milestone episode for us. So, what are our intentions for the next 100 episodes? One of the things we'll bounce back and forth here, Brendan, but one of the things I want to go back to in the next 100 is having even more guests on. We've featured a ton of actors and comedians, agents, filmmakers, casting people, stunt people. But we just want to bring in more professionals so that you're not only learning from Brandon and myself, that you're also learning from other industry professionals and getting their
Hmm.
expertise and their takes on things. It's also really fun for us too. It's like we could talk and talk and talk all day, as we do,
Hmm.
but it's nice to just pick other people's brains as well and make new connections. So that's one of the things, whether you're a passive viewer with us or you're a member of Actors Audition Club, expect that you're going to be introduced to a lot more industry professionals, not only Toronto based, but people who are international. And yeah, we're going to keep grabbing higher and higher and higher people up the totem pole in the industry too, so that you'll start seeing some big names and be like, holy shit, I saw that person on Laughing Vikings live. So that's one of them. What about you, Brandon?
I would like to create and learn about overlays. And so that way, when we're doing our lives, they're a lot more elaborate, and I'm able to go from one piece to another. And maybe it's not just banners that we have at the bottom anymore, that it's things that encompass the entire screen that make it more visually appealing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Always upping the production value. That's a big thing. That's any project that I've ever been a part of. I've never been like so militant that you can't have a tech issue, you can't have some sound issue or a lag or something go wrong.
Hmm.
But the overall idea should be it should get better and better and higher quality. And if you don't hold yourself to those standards, then that just means sooner or later, naturally, order moves back to chaos. And if you're not checking yourself with those checks and balances and holding high standards, we would just get shittier and shittier until this is the worst podcast ever. And we don't want to do that, do we?
No.
So that's going to be great. The other thing I want to do too is have more fun on the episodes. That's something I don't want to use the word struggle, but something I often think about is I'm one way when I'm doing stand up, and when I'm teaching and coaching and doing this, I'm often more serious for some reason in my head. I don't know if this is from teachers I've had in my past, or maybe it's from my dad or something. I've often conflated teaching and education with this has to be like, let's get down to business and let's be serious about it. But the reality is humor and comedy, it works like you'd rather go see a speaker who's teaching you something that is also making you laugh along the way. So for me, one of my intentions is to find a happy medium to on stage wacky crazy Lars, and finding the balancing that with education and inspiration and teaching, and finding that middle ground where it's like, it's not me doing stand up on a podcast because we are teaching and we're talking about real life issues, but it's also not me being a librarian that's putting you to sleep too. And some of that's just vocal variation. It's reminding me everything that we learn in our acting class actually applies to the podcast too. So vocal variation and speed and tempo and pitch and rate and all that kind of stuff, keeping your ripped, as Tom says, rate, inflection, pitch, and dynamics. And I've noticed that sometimes that I have a deep voice, and if you remain in deep voice and you only play deep notes, that becomes sad and depressing. When you go down at the end of sentences, it just, no matter, even if you are passionate about it, low notes equals depressed and sad to human beings. So you got to go up at the end of things, and you got to have some fun, and you got to say, hey, everybody. Then you got to talk real fast. And then you got to talk really slow and take your time. And then you got to get everyone fired up again and talk about how great Comedy Alley is going to be this weekend. Right? So yeah, have more fun. That's one of my pledges and intentions, to find that happy medium. All right. Any other intentions?
I want to eliminate ums. I want to eliminate as many ums as humanly possible.
Me too. I do it way too much.
Yes. So do I. And like I lose my train of thought, and I stop thinking, and that's unacceptable, especially if we're doing this live every week. So I want to focus on that and make sure that what we're talking about and what I'm saying is as clear as possible.
So let's institute some kind of penalty system, or maybe we hook up some electrodes to the podcast.
Yes, electrodes.
So that anytime we give an or an or hesitate, oh fuck, yeah, we'll learn in a hurry in that case. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. It's like, again, it's just working on your voice and your speech and your presentation. And I've listened back to some of these episodes, and I'm like putting myself to sleep, or I'm like, even right now saying like, I say like a lot too. That's one of mine, is like and sort of, eliminating that crap. It's just garbage. And then part of it too is if you were to use AI to automate this and translate it, like, you know how they transcribe it, if you're speaking cleanly, it's an easy job for a computer to transcribe it. If you're not, and you're stumbling and bumbling, and you're saying likes and sort ofs and kind ofs and then it just looks like garbage when you transcribe it. So it's almost impossible to, or when you post it on Instagram or TikTok and you want to do the captions, it's like a computer can't even figure out. So if the smartest computer in the world can't figure out what the fuck you're saying, how are people going to figure out what you're saying? So it's just being more intentional with our messaging, more intentional with our communication, so that we're driving our points home, so that we're educating and inspiring you and helping you guys have fun, the listeners and viewers at home. So know that we are ever improving. You want to always be improving. You want to be always growing and up leveling and taking stock of where you are, scoring yourself where you are now realistically, and also deciding, okay, what's on my list to get better. That's a mark of a champion. You're either growing or you're dying. You're never staying still. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. So it's just focusing on that in all areas of your life so that you get better and better with every day. Because we want episode 200 to blow the, like, who knows where we're going to be. Episode 200, there might be holograms and animations and all kinds of music and special effects and explosions all over the place.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, holy shit, I remember episode 100. It was a sack of shit compared to episode 200. Remember episode 100? Oh, garbage.
Garbage.
Now they're nailing it. Yes. Yeah.